Welcome to Subramani. Please hit the bell icon. Please subscribe to the channel. We need more members, right? So, anyway, one question which I've been asked is what are India's investment prospects over the next 20 years? I like this question because the straight answer is, of course, the prospects are good. You should invest. But I thought I'd do a little more detailed answer, maybe not more than 5 minutes, but I do think India's prospects looks good over the next 20 years, which is 2025 to 2045, which will largely be driven by structural reforms, demographic advantages, and the kind of prosperity which sees in rural India, which was earlier unheard of. I mean, I have been to UP prior to Yogi. Right, so in a place like Kanpur, all you could see was gun shops. Every alternate shop or every once in every two shops would be a gun shop. Old brick buildings. People were afraid to paint their houses because once you paint your house, the dacoits would know. I mean, it was worse, of course, in Bihar that here's a guy who's spending money, so they would come and take it away. Now the question is, what happens when chief ministers like Yogi Adityanath are at work? I got a figure of 14,000 crores, that being the amount which Mr. Yogi Adityanath has been able to get out of the mafia and drug lords, which has gone to the to the coffers of the state. Now, just imagine the kind of value add that one man has done to the state of Uttar Pradesh. So, knowing how to tackle the mafia, tackling them, having the guts to do it, and having no vested interest in doing it, give a few such ministers, and I think the prospects are good. Also, realization on we have to look at policy continuity, global conditions, and addressing things like climate change. I do not know what impact these things will have, but largely from major institutions and representing diverse viewpoints, investment banks, etc. I've looked at some of that, and this is what I've got to say. First is the demographic dividend. India's working age population will expand. It will expand by 175 million, supporting 7% GDP growth over the next decade, which it takes you from 2025 to 2035. To reach high income status by 2047, the World Bank estimates that we will need to grow at 7.8% per annum, annual growth of 7.8%, potentially making India a $10 trillion economy soon. Price Waterhouse is a report saying which spoke about a winning leap, projected 9% CAGR to about 10.4 million by 2034, right? And with per capita income rising to $7,000, emphasizing innovation and infrastructure. Sectoral opportunities. Growth will definitely shift to infrastructure, manufacturing, healthcare, hotels, airports, ports, digital services, etc. Manufacturing could rise to 25% of GDP, although tech adoption, R&D, etc. will have to be considered. Urbanization to 650 million by 2034 offers chances in housing and transit. Digital connectivity, which is upward of 80%, and financial inclusion, which is including banking, which is now reached something like 90%, which itself could lead to 1%, 1.5% of to the GDP. What is the equity market outlook? Well, Morgan Stanley forecasts 20% annual growth year on year over the next 5 years, fueled largely by private spending. Startup boom, so they are talking of investing also, and shifting to stocks. Maybe your equity penetration will also go up. India's diversified economy, second only to the US, reduces risk with themes like consumer goods and financials, green energy, etc., etc. A vibrant IPO market and the global ambitions of Indian firms could propel the stock market to the world's third largest by 2030. Macroeconomic stability, declining deficits. India has been able to hold the deficits very well. Falling inflation and public digital infrastructure enabling lending to the unbanked. Support resilience. OECD objects private demand driving growth, and amid easing monetary policy and public investments, I think the prospect look good. What are the risks and challenges? For economic and social risk, youth unemployment, water scarcity. You saw what happened in Nepal. People think they can just come and they will be able to run the country better or the company better, whatever. In this case, we are talking of the country. And market volatility could be there. Market, the energy security and weak IP protection could retard your progress. Deloitte notes recent capital outflows and up downs in FY 24-25, while geopolitical and climate change pose threats. Market volatility will definitely be there. Overall, India's long-term economy is strong, but it does not mean that you can afford to put money in an SIP and not look at it for 10 years. That's also not going to happen. So, some basic things you need to know, some basic things you ought to do. And overall, India's long-term story is strong, so there is nothing for you to worry about. You can just safely look at this as an investment. Thank you.